You're listening to the essential WFDU-FM HD1 Teaneck, the New York metro area's premier public music station at 89.1 megahertz and worldwide at WFDU.FM.
89.1.
And we're back here on Que Viva la Musica, 89.1 WFDU. And we are streaming live around the world, across the globe, WFDU.FM, VickySola.com. Our partners, iHeartRadio, WLSC New York, and also SalsaWarriors.com. I'm Andres Padua, Mr. Hard Salsa, Bubbles from the Bronx, along with my partner in crimes here, Vicky Sola La Nena, DJ Marysol, and we'll be with you until 4 p.m. today. Remember, if you missed part of this show, you can play it again on VickySola.com, and you can check out the 5-year podcast. And we are continuing the tribute here to Orlando Marin, 65 years in the business as a band leader. And Orlando Maestro, I want to talk to you about stickball. You did mention you were a Hall of Famer stickball. Tell us a little bit about the musicians that you met during your stickball years back in what was that, 30s, 40s, 50s?
Well, I started very young. In 1945, I started learning to play stickball, and I was always I don't know why, but I was always a leader. I was the guy who used to get the kids at the end of the night sitting on the stoop. In those days, you could do that at night. It was safe. And I'd make up these stories because I'm a cartoon illustrator. I grew up reading comic books, and I think that the closest thing to God is a cartoon illustrator, because whatever they say, they draw it on a piece of paper, and it's done. That's where Superman came from. Mm-hmm. See? Anyway, I made the stickball teams in my neighborhood. But later on in life, I made the team called Los Músicos, and we had some good players. Now, not everyone was able to make it. There was a young man, a little older than me at the time. His name was Charlie Palmieri. He couldn't hit the ball. And he was swinging and trying, and he kept swinging. He couldn't hit it. There was another young man called Joe Quijano. He couldn't hit the ball either. They were terrible. They didn't make the team, but Chiqui Perez was great. He was a semi-professional baseball player. Luis Goicoechea was great. David Perez was great. And we had many other good musicians that played and hit the ball well, and they ran, and we beat most of the teams around. The teams that we couldn't beat was a team called the All-Star team, and they had all the best players at the time, and we're talking about in the late 80s and maybe into the 90s. But we played all the teams, and we beat most of the teams. We couldn't beat the All-Star team until the end, and we finally got to beat them. And there was a team very early on who were very involved in music. They were a team called the Sparks from Longwood Avenue. The Sparks was the first team to actually throw dances at the Hunts Point Palace back in the early 1950s.
Wow.
And they hired me because they got my band to play in PS 52 because I rehearsed there in PS 52, and they said, well, to pay us back for the rehearsal hall, we want you to play on Friday. And they said, well, to keep the kids off the street and have them doing something, not too bad. So the kids would come every Friday, so my band was there every Friday. And we had Joe Quijano in the band, Eddie Palmieri, myself, David Perez on bass, Chiqui on bongos, his uncle Luis Goicoechea on conga, and then we added 3 trumpets with Louis Robles, Larry Chino Acevedo, and Claude Esperson. So we had a big following. When the guys from the stickball team, the Sparks, were old enough to hire a room in the Hunts Point Palace, we were the band that was chosen because we already had a big following, and we did very well. And that team also went on to open the Tropicoro. The Tropicoro was down the block, and Carlos Ortiz, the boxing champion, was the owner. And they worked together, and Joe Quijano, Orlando Marin, and Eddie Palmieri played a dance together. The only time we ever played together, the three of us. It was a battle, but it was beautiful, wonderful history, and we had great dancers from the Bronx. I mean, there's so much I could tell you about the dancing, but PS 52 started a lot of it off. And they also did the first outdoor concerts in the Bronx, and I was the guy who was out there playing them. I was the number one band there. Yeah.
Certainly, you know, that's some great history there, you know, how it correlates with stickball and the music. What we want to do here is let's play some music, and we are going to come back and talk some more regarding your career of those 65 years, because I'm sure you are filled with lots of stories. So let's play some music as the paper says here. Vicki, music, please.
Mi socio, lo que es la mujer, mi socio. Orgullosas son, sin dar una razón. Qué bueno es saber. Yo aprendí ayer, mi socio, qué malo es querer, mi socio. Como un manganzón, perdí mi corazón.
La vida
Yo tengo luz que me ilumina y me protege de la gente. Con cuatro velas de acentavo y 3 vasitos de aguardiente. La bruja hace su trabajo con el tabaco en la boca. Se da 4 zapatazos para atraer a los hombres. Se cruzan 2 alfileres para conseguir las mujeres. Se pone cebo en un sobre para conseguir a los hombres. Ae, 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 mamá. Ae, ae, papá, bobo ya terminó.
Con una vela en la mano y la candela en la boca. Con una vela en la mano y la candela en la boca.
Oye, qué rica, qué buena, qué bruja malota. Con una vela en la mano y un rabo de gato en la boca.
Con una vela en la mano y la candela en la boca. Con una vela en la mano y la candela en la boca. Con una vela en la mano y la candela en la boca. Con una vela en la mano y la candela en la boca.
Sí, sí, que la vi yo, con una vela en la mano, con una vela en la mano y un rabo de gato en la boca, que loca.
Una vela en la mano y la candela en la boca. Con una vela en la mano y la candela en la boca.
Hemos visto el pie fiel de marihuana cuando voy yo. Apa, vale, y ya fondo, y ya no fue.
¿Qué tú te decís?
Tú no te entiendes, papá bocó. Yo explico, abacuá, y ya fondo va, y ya no fue.
Con una vela en la mano y la candela en la boca. Con una vela en la mano y la candela en la boca.
Sí, sí, que la vi yo, con una vela en la mano, con una vela en la mano y un rabo de gato en la boca, que loca.
Una vela en la mano y la candela en la boca. Con una vela en la mano y la candela en la boca.
Que sea lo que sea, yo sigo con mi tumbao. Que sea lo que sea, tarde o temprano yo sé que le va a gustar. Yo sigo a mi manera, yo sigo con mi timbal. Que sea lo que sea, tarde o temprano yo sé que le va a gustar. Por tarde o temprano yo sé que le va a gustar. Orlando suena los cueros. Orlando suena los cueros. Orlando suena los cueros. Suena, 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 suena los cueros. Orlando suena los cueros. Orlando suena, suena, suena los cueros. Orlando suena los cueros. Se formó el rumbo caballero, caballero en el cuero. Orlando suena los cueros. Allá va.
This segment on WFDU is brought to you by Blues Way Pest Control. As warmer weather approaches, termites, ants, and other insects can become a problem for homeowners. Blues Way Pest Control, located in Yonkers, New York, offers a wide variety of supplies for the do-it-yourselfer and services to protect your home from all kinds of household pests. For a free phone consultation and estimate, the phone number is 914-968-8404, and the website is blueswaypestcontrol.com. Bluesway Pest Control is a proud member of the WFDU Membership Benefits Program.
All right, if you just tuned in, you're listening to Que Viva la Musica 89.1 FM. I'm here with the MVA. I'm M. V's to my right, A's to my left, and we're here in honor of Orlando Marin. We just heard Aprende a Querer Lo Mambo off the LP Está en Algo off the Fiesta label. That's 1966. Then we followed that up with Papa Bocó, which is a guaracha, same album. And then we finished out the set with Lo Que Sea, another mambo from 1970 off the album Out of My Mind. And that's on the Brunswick label. So on the first two tunes, we heard Juto Betancourt on vocals. And the LP cover shows Orlando looking all handsome in his suit with a very attractive lady on the cover. And then we just wanted to mention something important, that the songs on this album were arranged and written by the late Tony Rios, including the 6-minute plus tune Aprende a Querer, which was probably very rare to have a track that long at that point in time. And then on Lo Que Sea, Sammy Figueroa was on vocals. So in this hour, we're focusing on two LPs, which is Está en Algo and Out of My Mind, and both had the participation of pianist-arranger Tony Rios. He passed away very recently, around April 12th of this year. So, Orlando, Tony was an important part of your band at this time, wasn't he?
Well, he was an important part since he started with me, which was much before I recorded those songs. But what happened, he became more important because of the fact that my car was stolen with my music, and so I had no trumpet music anymore. So Tony, a great human being, he allowed me to use his arrangements because he had an orchestra before that, and he didn't do too well, so he came and worked with me. And the singer was, what was his name again?
Well, you had Justo, and you had Sammy Figueroa.
Sammy Figueroa was Tony Rios' singer, and he came with the band also. So Aprende a Querer and many of those songs belong to his band, but I recorded them, so I get credit for that. But Tony Rios was a great, great human being. And I happened to have met Tony when he also met his wife, who was very sad the other day when he passed away. And she's also from the same school I went to, the School of Industrial Arts. So we're very close spiritually also. But Tony Rios was a great, great musician, and he also played vibes and piano. And the singer, what was the name again, Jesus?
Sammy Figueroa.
Sammy, but he also passed away. Que Dios lo bendiga. Anyway, that was a very special thing, and it was lucky that it happened that way. He happened to have the backup music, and the band did very well after that also.
Okay, great. So we're going to continue listening to tunes off of this album, Out of My Mind from 1970. Vicki, music, please.
Sugarfoot baby, won't you dance with me? Oh, Sugarfoot baby, come and dance with me. You look so good and you move so fine. I dig you, baby, please be mine. Sugarfoot baby, come and do the thing. Oh, yeah. Sugar
está que le zumba, tiene un tumbao mejor que la rumba. El que lo escucha de pronto se asusta, oye los cueros sonar pa' los montes. El que lo escucha de pronto se asusta, toda la gente lo pide a grito. Tiene un tumbao que está muy bonito, porque es un ritmo que está muy caliente. Oye, los cueros te jalan pa' los montes, pa' los montes, pa' los montes, pa' los cariocos, pa' los montes, pa' los de Almendoro, pa' los montes. Oye, los cueros te llaman pa' los montes. Juega Tony, sabor, toma ya. Ajá. Rico. Juega Antonio. Oye, los cueros te jalan pa' los montes, pa' los cariocos, pa' los montes, pa' los de Almendoro, pa' los montes. ¡Ajá! ¡Rico! Oye, ese coro como dice pa' los montes, 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 pa' los montes. Yo te traigo un nuevo ritmo que se llama Bugalú. Yo te traigo un nuevo ritmo que se llama Bugalú. Bugalú, bugalú, bugalú for you. Bugalú, bugalú, bugalú for you. Miri, miri, un chau, chau.
Here on Que Viva la Musica, WFDU 89.1 FM. We continue with the tribute to Orlando Marin. We just heard Sugarfoot Baby, It's a Boogaloo from 1970 off the album Out of My Mind with Eddie Revere on vocals, followed by Palo Monte, which is personally one of my favorite tunes off the same album, with Sammy Figueroa on vocals and Tony Rios with that awesome piano solo. That last tune we just heard was Eeny Meeny Chow Chow, another Boogaloo, with Sammy Figueroa on vocals again. So, Orlando, I know you weren't enamored with the Boogaloo, but we just heard two Boogaloos, so, what's going on there?
Well,
Tell us a little bit about that.
many people are not aware of the fact that, before the Boogaloo came out, I had opened the Colgate Gardens. Colgate Gardens used to be a synagogue that was for the Jewish people and their functions. And when they moved out, and the owner, I forget his name, but he was a very nice gentleman, this rabbi, and he wanted to put the club to some use. So he called it the Colgate Gardens, and I was one of the first people to go in there with a few other people, a lawyer and two or three other gentlemen. We got in there. I kept my name out of it because I told them, don't put my name in there because everybody in the Bronx is my friend. They're going to want to come in for free, So my name was in the background. But the point is that I was the house band playing there every Saturday or whatever it was. And I had, we hired Willie Colon one gig. And the night that Willie Colon was on, Joe Bataan shows up and he sits in. And he sings Gypsy Woman, in his style. And I said, oh, and that vamp that he has. And I said, oh, my God, that's going to be great. So I grabbed him on the side. I said, Joe, record that with me. I have a recording session coming up. And he said, no, I'm going to do it with my band, which was good. He made it famous. But I liked it so much that I made another song, different thing, but with the same van.
Yeah.
And I called it The Hustler. I don't know if you know that song, The Hustler.
Yeah.
And it's got good lyrics, but it's different. But it has that Boogaloo sound. So I made that first Boogaloo album, and the company, I think it was Brunswick Records, it was Decca, and they didn't want to put it out. The person who got me that job, it's like a little shady. He was Tito Puente's manager at the time. And he was involved with the record company and with me, but I had no inside information. They told me, no, they didn't like it. They're not putting it out. I said, what? This is the next thing that I see coming out. And it was true. It came out. So 2 years later, when I threatened them with a lawsuit, they put out a couple of copies. And this is what happened in the Boogaloo era. And a lot of the managers and big bands at the time didn't want to play that because it was not part of the Latin mambo cha-cha.
Yeah. But you did a great job with these two tunes.
Well, I tried anyway, but in that album, I also had some good Latin tunes. I forget the name of all of them, but they were pretty good, and the album would have been a big seller.
Well, speaking of the Boogaloo, Vicky's going to introduce an old friend who has enjoyed much success with the Boogaloo. Vicky?
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we have on the line another luminary of our industry, a veteran percussionist of some 30 years who has worked with many bands, including Orlando Marin, Eddie Palmieri, La Protesta, Charanga America, and Orquesta Novel. Most notably, he was a member of the Pete Rodriguez Band during the height of the Boogaloo era. Please welcome for the first time to Que Viva la Musica, Mr. Benny Bonilla. Benny.
All right, Benny.
Mi familia!
Benny, are you with us?
Benny, está ahí?
I'm hanging in there.
Yay, Benny!
Hey.
Benny, this is Marysol. I'm here with Vicky and Andres.
Okay, baby.
We saw you a few days ago. You look great, and we're glad that you can be with us today. We're tributing Orlando.
Yeah, hold on a second, man. I got to lower my radio. I can't hear.
Okay, no problem.
Hold on. I got the radio
The
on
beauty
and
of
the
live
phone
radio,
and-
everyone.
I can hear La Nena in the background.
Yes.
You hear?
I can hear me. I wonder if I'm going to... Okay. Hi, Benny, you with us?
Familia, ¿cómo
Oh,
están todos?
chévere,
bye.
chévere. Benny, we are here tributing, as you know, Orlando.
My man Edwin, todo el mundo. Saludos.
Oh, yes,
Saludos,
Edwin.
saludos.
Mira, te saludaron.
Saludos, Benny.
Benny,
Yeah, I hear you got some obscure musician sitting over there. I don't know. Orlando Marin, something like that.
Yes.
You
Benny.
love Benny.
You performed with Orlando's band back in 1952.
1952, Sunnyside Garden in Queens.
Wow.
Remember-
Tell us a little bit about your friendship with him and your work experience with Orlando.
Sure. First of all, I stopped from the very beginning, Kelly Street. I started hanging out on Kelly Street because I knew one of my boys who went to school with, Larry Acevedo, or Larry Chino. And he was Orlando's next door neighbor. So eventually I got to meet Orlando. And at a very early time at meeting him, I was always impressed because, number one, all I knew was a bunch of thugs, man. And he was a gentleman, man. Orlando was a gentleman. Era calladito y todo. But you know what amazed me most, because, you know, I don't want to, be on the radio for it. What amazed me most about Orlando is that his character was speak softly, carry a big stick, because whatever he got involved in, he became very good at, starting with music. I used to tell people on the panel that I used to do, and I'm going to say it to you, I don't know if he's going to like it. I used to say that Orlando was never a musician. And the people would say, oh, my God, why is he saying that, man? I used to say he was never a musician because he was always a band leader.
It's true.
That's good.
It's very true.
From the day one, he was a band leader. Orlando never worked with no band but Orlando Marin. You know what I mean? And that impressed the shit out of me. Excuse me. That impressed the heck out of me, man. You know.
Again, the beauty of
watching-
live radio.
This is rated
Go
G.
ahead, Benny.
I'm just saying. Yeah, I'm sorry. Anyway, that always impressed me. I used to go to, when he moved to Hunts Point, I used to visit him when he had timbales and vibes and everything in his living room. There was room for nothing else, just his instruments. But what I admired was that whatever he got involved in, you talk about stickball. Incidentally, the Musica stickball team, I think never won a game. You know what I mean? Let me tell you why. And you figure it out. These are all top musicians. These are so they used to get home at 4, 5 in the morning, and at 9 a.m. they had to be in the schoolyard. What kind of condition can you be in, man?
That's good.
This is true.
That's good.
We used to see 3 balls and 4 bats, you know what I mean? But it was fun, because I used to go and support them, you know. I was involved in stickball, but I was a good outfielder and a lousy hitter. So,
I never would have hired you.
Orlando was top. My belief is that if he would have went into, other than stickball, baseball, he would have made at least a minor league or some kind of a major league, because that's the kind of sportsman he was. He was a damn good ball player, man. He hit, he batted, he ran. He was skinny, good looking. Gee, what more you want, man?
So tell us about your brother Richie, who I had the honor of meeting finally about a week ago. Tell
My
us
little
about your
brother.
brother Richie working with Orlando.
Yeah, okay. This was, I think, 1952. I was working some gigs with Orlando, which was cool. He had a great band. And, but, you know, like other bands, you know, Orlando didn't work every week. You know, he would work a week or two, and then maybe he would not have a gig. So one weekend I had a gig with Hector Rivera. Hector had asked me if I was available, so I found out if he was working. So, but I had already told Hector that I would do it. But then Orlando told me, we're going to be at this school activity or something like that.
PAL.
And I said, oh, my God, man. Metí la pata. So I sent my brother. He was about 14 years old. He had just learned a conga. He was pretty good. You know, he knew how to stay with the beat and everything. But his experience in music was at home with the records in the living room. But I told Orlando, oh, man, you should use my brother, man, blah, blah, blah. So Orlando said, okay. So he went for the gig. Now, my brother's a kid, man. So he did one set. Then when they're going to go back, he tells Orlando, man, I'm tired, man. I want to go home. Orlando, what? I mean go home, man.
What? You talking to me?
You got to finish the gig, man. So my brother had to suffer to do another set, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, wow. I told him, Benny's going to kick your butt. You better finish.
Yeah. No, he was a kid, and, he didn't know nothing about the music business that, when you start, you got to finish. And what a lot of people don't realize? Rhythm, timbale, bongo, not bongo so much, timbale, conga, bass, never stop. The whole song.
Right.
They had to be going steady. Everybody else stopped the horn, stop, and the saxes, but not the rhythm. You got to, from beginning to the end of that tune, is nonstop. So you better be in shape, man. But anyway, that was a great experience for my kid brother. You know what I mean? Maybe that's why he didn't become a musician. He became he started booking bands and all that. But anyway, back to Orlando. I was saying that he to me is an amazing individual all around, even out of music. One more interesting thing that happened, he may not remember or he may not want to remember, talking about stickball. We also used to hang out in the schoolyard behind Piers 52. And the guys that used to go there was Chicky and Louie and Benny and Orlando and Ray Barretto. Barretto lived in the neighborhood, so Ray Barretto was so he was good too. What a ball player he was. So they got into a little match like, I could hit better than you are, Baba. They had this game where you stand against the wall and I pitch and you see if you could hit the ball out, pitching in. So Orlando says, I can hit anything that you pitch, Ray. Okay, so they matched, so they line up. To make a long story short, he strikes out Orlando. Oh, my God, man. So then Orlando said, no, man, I wasn't ready, man.
They always say that.
I wasn't ready. So he says, okay, let's do it again. So now he lines up Orlando again. Bam, he strikes him out again. Now, Ray Barretto mentioned that to me for the next 40 years. How's Orlando? He practicing, man? I'm hearing you, man, because,
Yeah, but Ray Barretto was an abuser.
It was a fun thing. It was a fun thing, though, man.
Yeah, I know. No, but he played against me and Eddie Palmieri. Him and Little Ray against Eddie Palmieri and me. Eddie Palmieri never played pitching in. I hardly ever played it. So we played and they beat us again. So I refuse to play Ray Barretto again. When I see him up there in heaven, I ain't playing him.
Eddie, you said?
Yeah, Eddie Palmieri.
How can you pick Eddie? You should have picked...
I had no choice.
The other boy.
I had no choice. He was the only guy left. But we had fun.
They used to pick, when they were going to start a game, and they went to pick, the sides, okay, yeah. I'll take Herman, and I'll take Harry, and I'll take... And when they used to get down to the last 8 or 9 guys...
Yep.
The 89 guys left was me and Eddie Palmieri.
You got that right.
Oh, my gosh.
They will pick Eddie, and I'll be the last one.
Benny, we look forward to having you and Richie come down to the station. Maybe we can do a little stickball reunion, have all of you here. We'll bring Eddie and whoever is available to come and we can share stories. We want to thank you so much for joining us today.
Okay. My pleasure. I enjoyed it more than you guys did. Believe me. I love it.
Love you, Benny.
Wait, one word before I go. My appreciation and admiration to all of you, Salsa Warriors, you, Vicki, Edwin, for supporting us and the future musicians of this business. I really appreciate it. All right?
Gracias. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you,
God
Benny.
bless.
Te queremos.
And, you know, Marysol, I think a stickball reunion show is a tremendous idea. Benny, tell Richie about it. We're going to follow up on that, okay? All right. God bless you. Thank you so much for partaking.
Enjoy the rest of your day. Love
you
you.
too. We love you too,
Gracias.
Benny. Bye-bye. Okay, a very special guy here. And now we're going to go back to some
Música,
more.
música.
I think it says in the notes here,
Yeah.
back to the
Back to
music,
the music,
Vicki.
Vicki.
Music, please.
Yo tengo una jeva que es pura candela, que le gusta pelear. Mira qué barbaridad, se la pasa peleando y yo la ignoro. Y te lo juro yo que la voy a matar. Si la trato bien, señores, tiene la trompa para. Si la trato mal, las cosas siempre me salen igual. Pero yo tengo una jevita que es pura candelita y te lo juro yo que la voy a matar.
right, we just heard Mi Jevita Guaracha off the Está en Algo LP, that's 1966, and La Banda Llegó, which is a mambo off the same album. Justo Bentancur on vocals, and Orlando Marin on vocals too. Mira para allá, en coro. All right, well, we want to say hello to Howie and Evelyn, who are tuned in, the Salsa Warriors, con Swing Sabroso. Thank you for being with us. We also want to say hello to the wonderful Jackie Nunez over at WLSC for giving us a call and also giving us a lot of support. Louis Lafitte and Germán Santana over at WKCR. Hi, guys. I think you're listening in. Also, Mickey Melendez over at WBAI. And Manny at the Con Ritmo Salsa Studio. He says he's loving the music. And he congratulates you, Orlando, on your 65th year. Connie Grossman also let us know that she is listening in and she sends you her love, Orlando. Connie Grossman.
Tell her I said hi.
Oh, you can tell her, yeah, ahí está el mic, nene.
They took my microphone. Hi, Connie. I hope to see you soon. We'll be playing at the
Highline, right?
The Highline, yeah,
Awesome.
June 1st. Come and sit in with us. Thank you.
Also, Marcelina La Filipina is tuned in. She's loving the music. Ronnie Puente also gave us a call. He says that he loves the music. Orlando, so thank you.
Ronnie, play the timbales for me. Thanks.
He'll be with us next week here on Que Viva la Música as we tribute his father, El Rey de Timbal, Tito Puente. And also, we want to say hello to Cookie Dama, who says that she's loving the music. So we have you to thank for that. Orlando Marin, I'm going to pass it over to Andres, El Rey del Pau Pau.
Gracias, nena. Summer is around the corner, and I believe me, folks, it's coming. It is going to get a little warmer this week, and so will be the Hot Salsa at the Beach. Beginning May 29, Salsa at the Beach returns at Ocho Beach with Salsa Warrior DJ Carlos Santiago Jr. and his friends. Once again, it's at Ocho Beach, and that's in Section 5. It all begins May 29th next week. And remember, for all, if you missed any events here mentioned on Que Viva la Música, you can go to vickysola.com and you can check out the calendar there or play the podcast show, and you'll get the announcements once again. And we'll be back on